All right, my name is Tony, and hopefully in the next 2 hours I can give you something of value, something to rattle your cage, press your buttons, and open your mind, and something that you can use for your life and for your business. Are you okay with that? Yes. Okay if I take my jacket off? I don't normally wear jackets. In the old days when I used to have a computer company, we used to wear jackets and ties and suits. But I don't know, I haven't worn a jacket and tie probably for the last few years. So I feel like a tiger with it all in. So why should you talk to me? I'm a billionaire. You know, you don't believe me. All these people that don't believe, I swear. Ye of little faith. There we go, I'm a 50 billion. Confirm that it's a billion?
Yes.
I'm a 50 billionaire. So what I have today has huge, huge value and potential for you. The fact that it's less than a lira doesn't matter. I'm still a billionaire. So are you a billionaire? Are your staff billionaires in thinking and feeling and energy? So what I'd like to do is I'd like to get us present in the room for the beginning and make sure we're all in sync. So we're going to start with a bit of a mindfulness process. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. On the count of 3, I want you all together to clap. 1, 2, 3. Are you good? Are you ready? So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. On the count of 3 all together, but loud and hard, because we need to create some energy in your hand. Okay. On your marks, get set, go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Close your eyes and just feel your hands. Just get into your hands. What do you sense in your hands? Go. What are you feeling generally in your hands? Sense of tingling, bit of energy, bit of vibration. Go to your thumb. Go to your thumbs. What are you feeling in your thumbs? Go to your little finger, the tiny little finger. Get a sense, what's that energy? And now take a deep breath. Take a deep breath in and feel it go in. And just become aware of the breath. And once more, become fully aware of the breath coming in through your nose, into your lungs. And now, and just let go. Allow your body to relax, completely relax. And let your hands go. Come back and be here, fully here. Because the problem that we have is all our bodies here, quite often our minds over there somewhere, hey? Worrying about what's going to happen today, worrying about what's happened yesterday, last week, last month, last year. For the people that are folding arms, I promise you I won't do anything to you. You can relax. You're safe. Who's in their own business? Wow. How's business going? Okay? I decided to get some information together around what are the important parts and the important things in business. Because I've been a self-employed person for most of my life. And I'm kind of a maverick in what I do. I'm very unorganized, very unplanned. I'm the dragon slayer. Give me the sword, give me the dragon, I'll go and climb the mountain and I'll tame the dragon. I hate planning and organizing and admin and all those kind of things. But you need that in your business because you can't just go out there and hope that you're going to catch a fish. I'm a fisherman, I catch 4-meter sharks off a 3-meter jet ski. And then sometimes you catch and you come home with food and sometimes you don't. And for me, the whole thing of life and business is it's a simple process, but we don't make it simple. I used to own a company called Network Interface Consultants, NIC. It's a computer company. I'm a techie by background and ability, but I got tired of computers. I prefer hacking human software. It's much more fun. But the things that really stand out for me is, who's had poor service in the last few months? From anything? Yeah, check. All of us, hey? How do you feel when you have poor service? In the old days, you'd go and tell a buddy or two. My stepson's here in the back. He and his mom, I'm engaged to his mom. They went to a local restaurant. It took them 45 minutes to get any kind of service. They didn't tell 4 people. Out came their smartphone, ding, 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 onto Facebook. Do not go to restaurant XYZ. The Socialnomics Turbo. How many people did they tell? Probably close to 1,000. I promise you in seconds, yeah, we went there and we're not going to go again. Yeah, we went there, we're not going to go again. And so we live in times that are very, very different today. The problem is we're using old mindsets for amazingly different times. And the line that grabs me here is we're all trying to get more clients rather than keep our existing clients. It's kind of a focus. You know, even myself, I find I'm hunting for new clients versus going back to my old ones and saying, by the way, how do we grow? How do we build? How do we retain? How do we add more value to the system? So if you want, I'll make this presentation available. There's quite a lot of data, because my goal is to give you the why, that you can see the kind of shifts that are happening. You know, the problem that we have, I've always been self-employed, and I hated having staff. Sorry, staff. But I had 40 staff. You know, there were times I used to take 150 grand out of my back pocket to pay salaries because sales hadn't made it and money hadn't been collected. And I got kind of twitchy and bitchy about it. So I made a choice. No stock, no staff, no admin, no overhead. So I became self-employed, one-man business, and I get my resources as I need it. But the problem is, staff, it's like they are the end of your puppet strings. They're the one that are servicing the customers. They're handling the coal face. But it's like herding cats. You have very little control over them. We try and force and coerce and cajole, but at the end of the day, they are the ones at the coal face, and they are the ones that are serving them. And this appreciation in the research that I do in my team dynamics and team development and leadership development, who feels unappreciated at work? Well, be honest, who feels unappreciated? No, look. In my research, it shows at least 60% feel unappreciated. And it's not about the money. You know, money is a hygiene factor. But do you feel appreciated? And what does it cost? What does it take to help somebody to feel appreciated? And we've got a little process we'll do a little bit later. Happy people tell a few, unhappy people tell the world. And we are now in a space where one becomes 1,000, 1,000 becomes 100,000. I've seen companies toppled. I've put a guy in jail in New Zealand via the web. A guy called Llewellyn Birchall. You can look him up on the web. He took me for 35,000. He took a lot of other people in South Africa for about 12 million. And he said, spin. So I said, cool. And he ducked. He went to Canada. He disappeared. I put up a web page about him. And about 3 years after he ducked, I got a phone call from some guy in New Zealand. Tell me about Llewellyn Birchall. I said, well, what do you want to know? I told him the story. He said, well, he's in New Zealand. I put up some information. I've created a new page. I got interviewed on the radio station. He's now in jail. I have another guy, Trevor Kingsley, who took me for 850,000. I put up the whole police case. I put up a story. You can run. You cannot hide. I've had probably 12 people from around the world say, thank you for protecting us. We live in times, I'm looking at the age here, and I'm lucky, I'm a techie. I've grown up with the techie stuff, but there are people that they're scared of technology. But the reality is we're now getting into places where you're going to be wearing the technology. You know, your clothing is going to give you, the doctor, your heartbeat and stuff like that. So it's an important part of the process. So you need to understand that there's stuff outside of your control that can impact you and take you down. I want to cover things about pressure to perform and the stress in my research around stress. Who feels they're above average stress at work? Hands up, let's see. The fact that you're here obviously shows that you're a bit more conscious, but in my research and the assessments and the profiles that I do, at least 75% of people are above the healthy scale of stress and pressure. And at least 15 to 20% of those people are at a damaging level, a biologically damaging level. So we'll cover that. About ZMOT, anybody heard about ZMOT? Wow, cool stuff. CANI, I started a community radio station, and we called it CANI, which stands for Constant and Never-Ending Improvement. And that's what you've got to do today. Just incremental, a little bit incremental, every single day be better than you were yesterday. Customer experience management, we're away from CRM, we're now into CEM. Customers have huge power, they're beyond king. They're close to God. And activists, I've seen what can happen. Who knows TripAdvisor? I'm shocked at the power. I've had people, we went to a place, I wrote about my bad experience. I went to another place, I wrote about my good experience. I'm amazed around the world how many people make their choices. I'm a PC dealer, I buy wholesale PC stuff, and I was looking for some speakers. and they had a special deal. I thought, wow, good price. You know, I'm a bargain hunter. So I thought, before I do, let's go and check. Google, review, bad service, bad quality, don't buy. Do you think I bought them? Did my supplier have any influence in my decision? Nothing. We live in times where we have close to zero control. And the control you do have, you have to be really, really smart. When I catch a 300-400 kilogram shark, often I'm using 10 kilo line. How do you catch a 400 kilogram animal on 10? It's like cotton. It's like trying to pull a bull with cotton. You've got to know when to pull. You can't just pull like we used to in the old days. Marketing has changed completely, and word of mouth. My background is in word of mouth, multi-level affiliate marketing. I've done a lot of work in training and coaching and leading those workshops. Everybody, right from Coca-Cola to Toyota, in the next 20 years, you will have some kind of referral word of mouth process where you reward people for forwarding your information. And then leadership, which is my main passion. We live in disgusting times where we've given our soul away, and the number one driving factor of any business is money. And I'm desperate when I see some people with these large corporations. I was videoing for a client, and the European director was over, and outside there was food for 10 armies. Inside he was literally effing them and all the words that you can think of, because they lost 20 million here and 13 million there and 3 million here, and they're about to do a SAP installation. He said, I don't care if you have a heart attack, if you'd have to cancel your holidays, but this is, you will do this. And I went home and I wrote, slavery is alive and well. And so my goal is to shake you up to think maybe there's a better way. Yes, business is about profit. It's like oxygen. Anybody go diving? Oxygen's important. But it's not the most important thing. If you're under the water and you lose oxygen, yeah, then it becomes vital. If you don't have cash flow and that in your organization, it's vital. But it can't be the only reason for your business. If it is, you have a problem. So hopefully I can help you there. And for me, the most amazing thing, my brother's in IT, and I have a few other friends, and I heard research, they say women are the ones that look at the most porn. They track the websites who they go to. I promise you, from 3 different sources. But you'll be glad to know that social media has overtaken porn traffic. So the world's getting a bit more conscious, thankfully. You know, in South Africa, we have a unique environment. We're under a variety of pressures. But at least 1/3 of people are struggling badly. It's interesting, if you read the research, 90% of businesses within 10 years are out of business. Who's been in business for more than 10 years? Well done. Give yourself a pat. Well done. 74% feel it's become a challenge. Who feels it's become more of a challenge? And it's only going to get more. The demand from the consumer side of things, you can get so much free on the web. And so the whole perception of value has changed. And so now as we've got this, we get more and more value for less and less cost. We become greedy. And it's about the experience. We become more conscious, more discerning, and we want a better experience. We won't just accept bad service. We now have power to step up and say, excuse me, and often we won't even go to the person and complain. We'll just get on our Facebook page or our Twitter or some kind of thing, and we just spread it like a virus around the world. But people want the feeling beyond just what the product will give them. And so it's about this customer experience management. I find it amazing that people want their staff to give great service, delightful service like their mission statement says, but they don't do it inside to the internal customers. I see more bosses breaking their staff, their spirit, their will, their motivation, their inspiration, than inspiring. In the research, we do one of the questions, I feel inspired at work, and we inspire others at work, down at about 30%. So for me, business is broken. Let's see if we can find a way to change it. So the new silver bullet really, because marketing is expensive. I used to have the radio station. Anybody done TV advertising? Get good response? Good return? I have a friend took a 180,000 Rand advert on the back of the Sunday papers for a 2,000 Rand product. He sold 6. The salesman sold him, yes sir, definitely, we'll get you the stuff. The whole world of advertising and marketing promotion, the value proposition and the costs. Who remembers the day of scope? One magazine for everything. Today there's 7 magazines for fishing. There are 5 for climbing, 4 for cycling. So there's this huge fragmentation. But it's still expensive. They still charge 16, 18, 20 grand. I have them phoning me weekly. We can sell you a page in our magazine with so-and-so readers. I say, honey, I get 100% of my stuff from the web. And it costs me 10% of what you're trying to charge me. I was at Toyota in Randburg, Willie, the used car salesman. I saw their sales on the board, and I thought they'd done quite well. So I said, so what percentage comes from walk-in, referral, and internet? It says 97% comes from the web. For motor cars. Where does your business come from? Do you know how much you are missing on the web? Do you have any idea? I can show you a back door. I'm going to give you a free talk, like an executive briefing for those interested. There are rivers of people that are looking for what you are selling, but if you're not on the web and visible, you're missing millions, but literally millions. You're going to have to find a way to bring a great experience to the customer. But you've got to give that experience to your staff. Who would like more motivated staff? You manipulators. Motivation is manipulation. Who motivates you? The boss. How do they motivate you? More money? More salary? If you want this, we'll pay you more. Or if you don't, you won't. The incentive, what happens? It's gone. But if you inspire people and you set them on fire, inspire means the breath of God from within. But how many of us know how to inspire people? And that's part of the challenge is leadership effectiveness is very, very bad. Management skill is, I'm seeing people promoted to managers, they've got technical skill. They have no people skill. And they're doing the best they can with what they've got, huge stress levels. 80% of people think they're giving great service. 8% are giving the great service, according to their customers. So there's this huge perception gap with what you're delivering and what the client is perceiving. I always say, I can steal you for one night from your hubby. You can be angry with him for whatever reason. I can steal a client for one transaction. How do you steal a client forever? Because the stronger that relationship is, the more trouble, strife, stress it can take. And I believe in domination. I believe if I'm going to take a client, I don't enter a race to come second. So how do you get a client and keep them? Because brand loyalty today, people are fickle. People will change brands in seconds, and we'll show you with the ZMOT process. I found this guy, and I thought, this is what life is about. And so I'll tell you about him. Remind me to tell you about him a little later, but I found him interesting. And so at the end of the day, all of these things, the driving factor is your culture. Who's been on any workshop to understand culture? Wow. Would you say that your organization has an ideal culture? And that's why most leaders avoid it. They don't know how, don't know why, don't know where, don't know what. And the problem is, who goes on strategy, boss barrage, you do your annual strat breakaways? You can have the best strategy. I promise you, culture will destroy your strategy implementation 1,000 times. And so most of the leaders I coach and work with have got no idea. When I say, so what culture, what is your culture? It's like, what? What's that? And part of the challenge is we allow our staff to bring their home culture to work, rather than having a work culture in the workplace and a home culture in the home place. And so you have these conflicts between time perception. As a white Anglo-Saxon, I was taught, be there on 8 o'clock. If you come from a different culture, your perception of time is very different. I'll meet you by the big tree at the full moon. Give or take a day or two, it's cool, I'll be there. And so you have these conflicts that start to occur with these differences. And unless you clarify what is the culture on this field, you're going to have a huge problem. Do your customers feel the love? Do your staff feel the love? Do your staff feel that energy, that commitment, that connection? You might think you're giving it, like the customer service, 80% think they are, but what are they really getting? I can tell you from my research, once again, very few people feel valued and appreciated. So here's the challenge. We're trying to do more with less. The shareholders say we want more profit, cut costs, so we cut staff count. Workload doesn't get less. In fact, workload gets more. Happened to you? How do you feel? Appreciated or unappreciated? More stress. I remember some research was done with Philips a few years ago on the executive level. We're all at health-threatening stress levels. Do you think pressure's got less or pressure's got more? Pressure or competition's got less or competition's got more? Where do you think it's going? For what? For what? I've been blessed. I've had my best friend's father died in my arms. This month I have 4 people in my circle have died. It wakes you up to kind of say, what is life about? Some are younger than me that have died, some are older than me. But I said to Debbie, if I only go fishing once a year, I can't be a 65-year-old on a jet ski, not easily. It means I've got 10 times I can fish in my life. Hello. I just booked another 4 trips already this year. But why do people work? If your only vision and mission and values is to make more money, hello, you've got slaves. South Africa loses estimated 3 billion rand. That's measurable. What about the immeasurable? Because here's what stress does for you. Most people are kind of in this zone. At least 75% of your staff are here. But they smile nicely behind their mask. I'm okay because I need their JOB. And what does JOB stand for? Just over broke. If you can last for more than 3 months without earning any money, from now, 3 months, put up your hand. About 10% maybe. In fact, most of the people that I work with in organizations, within 2 months they're out of cash, they're done. They cannot be without a job for 2 months or they are done. We know from the work and the research of some of the new researchers in the neuro environment, 95% of all illness is stress-induced and stress exacerbated. Why are you giving your soul for money? We push so hard, so long, so we can have some money to have not enough money at the end of the month. More than half of our people in this country are in debt to the mashonisa. What's the mashonisa interest rate? Like, I think 30-40% a month. And it's legal. In fact, the mashonisa are even worse. The normal short-term finance is 30-40%. The mashonisa are like 100%. Suicides. Even people at the age of 12 and 14 are now committing suicide. 22 actually achieve it. 200 tried every day in our country. And we well? And we're chasing the big round buck? I don't know about you, but in my environment, I think we've just numbed out with all the crime and stuff. At least 95% of my people that I've heard of have been impacted heavily, directly by crime. Look at the fences. We just kind of hide away hoping that it's not going to impact and affect us. The number one skill that you can have for you and for your staff is resilience. I worked with Professor Stoltz when I was part of the International Society for Performance Improvement. Resilience is the number one. You need IQ to be on the field. You need EQ to manage the people relationships. But if you don't have AQ, that resilience, that bounce back factor, like Rocky Balboa, from Adrian, if you don't bounce back one more time, it's the number one thing that you need to build into your staff is flexibility and resilience. Trust. Who thinks they've got a high trust organization? It's back to that 80-20, that 80 and 8. All of my research, 100% of my things, trust is at like 30% maybe. We do a scale on the wall, 1 to 10. they're between 0 and about 6 when they start the process with us. You think it's there, but if you go underneath the hood, you might find it's very, very different. Anybody know Gallup's work on engagement? 20% are engaged, 65% are there for the money, they just do what they have to, and 15% are the cancer, that they will upset, they will undermine your organization. From biology, we know that 10% of a system influences and controls and impacts and directs a system. So in this room, if there's 50 people, 5 people can completely trash the energy in this room. Think about this. There's a thing called the Losada line. I didn't put it in the notes, but I'll tell you about it. We can now predict with 97% certainty the success of a relationship or a team or an organization based on the ratio of positive conversation to negative conversation. We think 1 to 1, 1 positive will neutralize 1 negative. It's not. It takes 3 positives to neutralize 1 negative impact. Ideally, you want 5 to 6 to be a thriving team. If you go to 10, 11, 12, you're smoking your socks. You're in sugar land. But you need to make sure that you have this positive balance. And you need more positive than negative. So whatever your disengaged people are doing, I promise you it's under the stuff that you don't see, and it can be like a cancer. Think about the politics in your workplace. How much time, how much of your daily energy do you use for protection in your workplace? Out of 100% energy that you use, that you arrive at work, what percentage of that energy do you use for preservation, protection, and defense in the politics of your organization? Think, get a number. If you're over 50%, can I see your hands? Average score that I get, between 60 and 75%. Gareth was at a meeting yesterday with some people. We do a very powerful team transformation process when we go and work with companies. But there are people in that company who are doing best to get rid of someone. It's not even kind of a covert thing, it's an overt, we're going to get rid of you. Politics and culture, if you don't address those things, will smash your system. We don't want to be maximized. There's work from a professor in Australia, out of 10, being maximum energy and 0 being no energy, 5 being halfway. She will predict the success, the financial success of your company purely by the energy that you apply during the day. Most managers want you to be maximized, give me a 10 out of 10 energy. It's not sustainable. She's found between 6.5 to 7.5 is the ideal, which you can increase and come down. There's nothing wrong with stress, but you need to decompress the same amount that you compress. We know from research now, you've heard of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. There's now post-traumatic growth. The problem that we never had it is we never gave the brain a channel. We said, you're either going to go to war and you're going to come back okay, or you're going to come back trashed. And so the brain says, well, okay, then I'll try and come back. And most people came back trashed. But by giving the brain another possibility that it could be a growthful experience, people are now growing and becoming more resilient and getting more wisdom, knowledge from that experience. The number one thing in any organization is psychological capital. Pressure is getting bigger, the pressure to perform, pressure to deliver. What is the resilience factor of your staff? What is the resilience factor of your management team? What kind of process do they go through to bring that into your organization? Some people, by our nature of our country, what's happened is their resilience has been smashed. So think of the elephant at the circus. Do you think that elephant could pull away from that little rope that's holding it? Yeah, an elephant stronger than 100 people. Why don't they? Because they were taught when they were a baby, they put a huge big chain around its leg and they have a big stake in the ground, and it fought and fought to get away from the chain, and eventually it learned, I can't, so I won't. Most of your staff are the same. They're pretending to push really, really hard, but in their mind it's like, nothing's going to change. Just go through the motions. Just be there. Smile, pretend, get your salary. There's no real passion and energy. I find a huge mismatch in an organization where values are one way and the personal values are like this way. It's like a vegetarian working in an abattoir. It's like they might be there because they got a job, but their hearts and souls not into it. The values that you have are also going to align with your customers out in the real world. And if your number one value is to make more money for the shareholders, that's a big disadvantage. Who feels they have great life-work balance? With our phones now, I'm on my jet ski 3 kilometers out to sea and I get a call. Hello, can you help me? It's like there's no more lines. We're on 24/7. Life is now a 24-hour day, 7 days a week, always on. Even if you stop work at 4:30, you're at home thinking of work. Or you're impacted by some possibility. Do you get paid for that? And if life, who would work for half the money they're earning right now? Who loves what they do so much? Who would work for half? Wow. Okay, one. So who's working for the money? I just want to get clarification. Okay, so these are the financial sluts. You can make money a whole lot easier, I promise you. This is a very controversial one. Do you know what your destiny is going to be? You're working for money and doing your thing. By the time you're 65, 10% of you will have enough money to retire. The rest are going to have to continue working beyond 65. And at least 50% are going to eat dog food. We've got insurance statistics. It's not what you think, what you plan, what you hope. It's the reality of life. Problem number 2. What's the oldest person you know? Call out an age of the oldest person you know. 100. 96. How are you going to fund from 65 to 100? In the old days, Dad had insurance. He retired at 60. He died within 5 to 7 years because to retire was to die. Mom then could live on that money until she died a little bit later. We've got the gene that we can turn on. We can make a mouse live double its length. And the guy was saying now, recent research, there's age-enhancing beer. He said there's a strong... Oh, no, I've ordered 5 cases.
Can you send us that?
I've taken a franchise for it. We can now, the guy reckons, we've got the possibility, we know the genome process, that we can live to 600. How are you going to fund from 65 to 100 as a start? How are your staff going to fund from 65 to 100? And here's my biggest thing. If you're the boss, when they leave you, they're going to retire to poverty, dog food. Is that the kind of boss you want to be? That you've got the Ferrari and the Lamborghini, and they go and eat dog food? Is that what your soul sings for? That, you know, when somebody dies in your arms, I promise you, it's kind of a grounding experience. They don't say, oh, I wish I'd made more money. But shit, I didn't get that discount. Go and buy that before you go. How much love did you bring? How much wisdom did you gain? And are you conscious of the impact that you have on others? I have a Malawian houseman, and he wanted to bring his wife. He hasn't seen his wife in 5 years. How do you live like that? Got a little baby, he went home, hasn't seen his baby. So she arrived here a little bit premature for what we had planned. And I then drove him to Ebony Park 2, Ivory Park 2. He's paying 800 Rand for a box. There's a piece of ground not wider than this room. There are 12 rooms on it, 1 toilet, 1 tap. He's paying 800 box with 1 light and a little window. At 6 o'clock, there's some oak drinking beer. When we fetched his wife, she had a 2-day trip from Malawi on the bus. And there's some oak drinking a quart of Black Label already at 6 o'clock in the morning when we're there. And I went home and Debbie said to me, what's wrong with you? Because your energy is not right. And I said, I thought I was conscious and I thought I was aware because of the workshops we talk to people and we have sharing circles and that. But it profoundly grabbed my soul and said, what are you doing to make another soul's life better? I drive, turn on my heater on my car, whoa, it's got more heat. I take out my card and say, you know, kilo of prawns, whoopee-doo. There are people that can't even get water, they can't even get access to a toilet. And I think I'm so great. So what kind of meaning do you get? Because if you're the boss, it's very easy to be there. You have to be there. You've got this dragon you've got to feed, or you love what you do. I'm lucky I love what I do. But imagine this story. You go to France or wherever they have these cathedrals. It's a cold winter's morning and it's raining. And you come across the first guy and you say, "Morning, what are you doing?" And he's chiseling away in the rain with the rain dripping down. And he's chiseling, he's grumbling, and he's chopping at his little bricks. And you say, "What are you doing, sir?" He says, "Can't you see I'm building this building?" So you go a little further, there's another guy chipping away there and water's all over. And "What are you doing, sir?" "Can't you see I'm making this lovely building here?" Okay. And you come to the next guy and he's like, "What are you doing?" Says, "Can't you see I'm building this beautiful cathedral for my people?" What do your staff say? Are they the grumpy ones that are just doing the work because they're doing the work? Or they're doing something that's going to make a difference for them and a bigger circle? We know from the work of David Rock how this reptilian brain works. We think people are logical and have common sense. Common sense is not common knowledge, and it's not common application. And so when you're managing people now, think of a scarf. You know, a scarf you put around your neck. It can either be a scarf that you tie nice and tight, or it can keep you warm. And we know now through all the new technologies that there are very simple things. We think we're logical. We think we're in control. Do you know, I don't have time to show the video, but if we do the other work with you, I can show you. You think you're the one in charge, making decisions and making choices, but your brain decides, your unconscious brain decides 6 to 7 seconds before you consciously know about it. Your unconscious part of your brain, which is about 12 kilometers in size versus 1 inch in comparison to unconscious versus conscious, makes decisions a full 6 seconds before you are consciously aware of the decision being made. And I've got the video and the scientific process that they show you how the guy gets measured. So if you're managing a staff, be aware of these things, because this is what the amygdala and the reptilian brain is scanning for. The number one issue that we're scanning is away from threat, away from fear, away from danger. Moving away from is the number one motivating factor. If you take away a person's status, their position, even a customer, you can use this for your customer. If you take away their certainty or any kind of autonomy and control, or the connectedness in the relationship or fairness, this destroys most companies. I see it in my environment where I work as well. One person's earning so much, his earnings different, and it's like quite a serious disparity for the same kind of work. Huge energy. I've seen with one of my friends, he's an older guy. He went into a company all gung-ho, he's going to change the company. Got knocked down, knocked down, knocked down. I swear, in less than a month. He says, "I don't give a damn. They're paying me my money, I'll do my job." We disempower, we dismotivate, we completely trash people, and we're unconscious of the impact that we have. And we can now get access to this kind of information, but you have to be brave. As a leader, you've got to be a very, very different leader. I saw some interesting numbers. You know Walmart, that little company? 2 of the top billionaires in the top 10 are Walmart family. But these are the numbers. An average Walmart worker earns about $8 odd an hour. It would take that worker 7 million years at $8 an hour to equal what Walmart's total wealth is. It would take 170 years just for him to earn what their yearly dividend is. And it would take 1 year to earn what the family dividend is in every 3 minutes. Now for me, somebody said, well, yes, if you make 27 billion profit, why not take 7 billion, give it to your staff, it'll give them at least like an extra $100 or $200 a week to live on. You'll still make 20 billion. You know, another zero is not going to change your life. When is enough? And that's why I like this picture, because when is enough? I was coaching another guy and his team, and the one guy said, we did a values assessment, and the financial guy said, there's never going to be enough. We've got to take as much as we can. And I saw the impact it had on the staff when that kind of value drives. How much love do you feel? When is enough? At what point do you say, I've got enough to share? When I was in Mozambique, you see a guy, he's got nothing. He's got no shoes, tatty pants, he's got a banana, and I see him share half with a friend. I thought, well, wow. Often when I fly to Cape Town, ladies won't know this, but the gents will. In the toilet there, have you been to the next to the Wimpy, the loo? Have you been to that toilet? I went to go and make sure I housekeep before I got on the plane, and as I walk in, there's this guy, "Good morning, sir, welcome to my office." Like, what? In a toilet. I mean, a men's toilet, not the nicest place in town. And as I go into the cubicle, he says, "Hold on," and he goes and he wipes the seat and he fixes the papers. He says, "Enjoy your stay." And like, I mean, he bent my mind. How does he have such a great attitude? Because he's not earning the money. I mean, he's not earning serious money. I gave him a 10 rand tip because he even showed me. He said, "You know what? In that cocky place, if you can have that kind of attitude, what's wrong with me?" And that's part of the problem. We are run by habit. Your staff are run by habit. Old programs, old beliefs, old values. You need to find a way to break that. Here's my problem. Is marketing and business targets customers. You know, the language we're using is not loving and caring and connection. It's kind of, we'll target that segment and they've got the most money, we'll target those people. How do we create a different relationship with our people? And so we come to the ZMOT, the zero moment of truth. When I first heard this, I thought, I love this part. Because we have some kind of stimulus, we're sitting and we suddenly say, "Oh, new car." At that moment, before we started shopping or before we got into the store, we're in a kind of flux. Have you noticed that when you go to the shop that you're able to be persuaded on what you buy, whether it's a brand or product? Or, I'm looking to buy another car. I've ranged from a Mini to a Land Cruiser and somewhere in between, from a Nissan to a Toyota. It's like I've got an idea kind of what I want, but there's nothing that I'm fixed on. And that's the problem. If you're not able to influence here, by the time you get to here, you haven't even had a chance to influence a sale. A lot of the research is being done by the people. This is research from the States because we don't have research like this in South Africa. But 44% of all retail is going to be influenced by the web. Who gets most of their business from the internet right now? I get 100% of my business from the web. Debbie, my fiance, accounting, 100% from the web. And it's not just about having a website. I think it was Bill Gates that said, if you don't have a web, if you're not on the web, you'll be out of business. I see more and more and more. In 2010, people used an average of 5.2 sources to do research. In 2011, that doubled. In 2012 and 13, we're up. When I go shopping now, I take my pad with me. And I say, "What's the price?" And he says, 495. I say, "Hold on," in front of him. "Oh, 295 here, 395 there. Match the price and I'll buy. Don't, and I'm gone." Debbie wanted shoes, tackies. We went and got a price, 14.95 in Cape Town. I'm a shopper. My brain's an optimizing system. Pad, Joburg, 7.95. Cape Town, 8.95. So I said to the guy, "That's what I can get." He says, "Sorry, we won't do it." Bye. We went to the 8.95 guy in Cape Town. I said, "Listen, I can get it for 7.95. Will you match the price?" He said, "Cool." He matched the price, and we spent another 1,000 rand on shirts and shoes and socks and da-da-da-da. If you're selling the same commodities, you're riding the razor. You have a huge, huge problem. The stimulus, the web. 76 people are stimulated by what they see via the web. I see lots of people doing advertising and TV and that. There's going to be a huge shift of budget. The zero moment of truth is influenced by the web. The first moment of truth is influenced by the web. We plugged in, we connected. You've got it in your car now. These are your opportunities to truly impact your purchasing experience with your client, where you have some kind of influence and impact. I see companies with the same kind of sales process, a sales approach, same incentive process. You can't use it. You're going to be a dinosaur. You're going to die. And so what influences their decisions the most? And I promise you, it's not you, it's not your advertising, it's not your marketing. Who uses the web for reviews? Check what's happening on the web before you buy something. Smartphone, check out a price, check out a review. And I trust people that I've never seen or heard I trust that they're telling the truth ahead of any advertiser. This is going to happen more and more and more. Even Debbie now, as much as she was a kind of tech phobic, she starts to say, I found it cheaper here and I found it available there. These shopping sites, they do price comparison. I was buying some fishing stuff. I went online, found some prices, found a guy. I got it 20% cheaper than the next nearest guy. And the guy that I was getting a price from, he said, I don't know how they do that. Did I care how they do that? To a point. And we'll come to cause marketing a little bit later. Trust is such an important thing because it has a 12 times influence on our purchasing decision. And we'll trust people that are part of our little circle, friends, family, relationships of some kind, and our greater circle on our Facebook or our Twitter or any of the review sites. Do you have a review site for your products and services? If I go and type da-da-da-da-da, I have a young black lady who came here. She said, I checked Tony Duvall's scam. She said, I found nothing negative about you. You can't hide. You can't stop anybody. And my advice is, if you have a problem, an unhappy staff member or unhappy customer, don't hide it. Solve it. People aren't scared about having problems. They're concerned about having the certainty of will they get it fixed quickly. These millennials, these younger kids who are becoming the big purchasing power. You've got old people, but I mean, Patrice and I are kind of, we've got a certain mindset, and then you get these young kids. There's such a mismatch in perception and vision of the world. You're talking different languages. You need to make sure you have a much younger blood in that can connect and communicate with those guys. So where are you available on this? Are you creating stimulus? How are you creating stimulus? On your website? When I first started a website, if I typed Life Masters, I was ecstatic. I was first. Ha! I was foolish. People weren't typing Life Masters. They were typing team development or team building. I wasn't on the first 100 pages. But then I woke up and started learning about SEO and SEM and getting visibility. But even having a website today is not enough. You need to start creating these groups where people become your advocates and your promoters. Do you have reviews? Do you have videos? I've seen guys this guy's got a blender. And every week they put up a new video of what you can blend. And he blends an iPad. I mean, it's that zacky. He blended a phone. But he's showing you that he's got a blender that can do anything. There's more people moving to YouTube and Vimeo and all of these other sites than TV. Do you have your own TV channel? When I started the radio station, we put down $1 million for technology, broadcast and studios and stuff like that. You can have your own TV studio with an Apple phone and an internet connection. Little videos, 1, 2, 3 minute little videos, grab attention, and if it goes viral, you get marketing exposure beyond any money can buy. But if you're not in those ponds, you can't be seen. Justin Bieber was found on YouTube. He's had more than 1 billion views. If you're not in the pond, you've got no chance of being seen. What kind of network do you do? What kind of, at the point of purchase, where this first moment of truth is, what are your staff like? Are they inspired? Are they motivated? Are they engaged? Are they happy? Or are you a bleeder or a greeter that like they're doing what they have to do to pay the rent? What is their experience like? Because here is where we decide how we're going to share, and that then comes back into this pond of influence, back to the zero moment of truth for other people. How many of your people write reviews? Could you make it easy with a little pad? When you can buy 7-inch pads now, these Android pads for like 700-800 rand. We go to Rolani. Debbie does accounting for Rolani, the game lodge up, right up just short of Botswana. And I'm saying when a person comes and they finish their visit and they're in a hot, happy, loved mode, please won't you write something about us on TripAdvisor? One review can change your whole booking structure, because people will believe what's been said. You might say it, they won't believe it. If I say I'm the world's best, you can say, yeah, right. But if 5 other people who have seen me say that, it's got a lot more credibility and a lot more impact. When people go to restaurants, they use 5.8 web sources to choose a restaurant, average. For car shopping, 18.2. You know, if Toyota, 100% of their business via the web, what about you? And it doesn't cost money to get a web, to get a Facebook and a Twitter and a YouTube. It's free. They host it, they store it, they back it up, they share it with everybody. It's not about cost anymore. It's about getting some kind of structure with people that can do the job. When considering a purchase, 50% searched online and used the search engine, talked to family and friends, comparison shopped. We've become, comparison today is simple. When I go and do this, I think it's called price check. I type in there, I go to the top 2, 3 cheapest. If you're trying to add more value, you don't even get seen. Here's the challenge. Is you are at a disadvantage now when your salesperson's coming in. When I first started computers, it was the IBM XT. The PC, remember the PC XT, the CPM Sony machine? Hell, we were superstars. We knew our stuff. I promise you, within 4 to 5 years, the kids coming to the shows knew more than me. The graphics cards, the memory, the hard drives. I mean, these youngsters came in teaching me stuff, and I was the salesman. And it's happening the same with the web. People are walking in with printouts. They've done their research, they've got their costing, they've got their comparison, they know who you buy from, they know what your costs are, they know what the margins are. You've got to be a hell of a lot sharper, and so your staff also have to be a lot sharper to give, because it's not just the buy. What was my experience like? Did you value, appreciate, respect? Did you make me feel good? Was it an orgasmically delightful experience, or was it a begrudging experience? One person can take a company down. I saw a website where the guy bought a Sony camera and he tried to take it back for warranty and they refused. He put up a little blog, cost $0. Around the world, more than 1,000 people had the same problem. Sony took back the product and made the changes free. Sony. If I can bend Sony's arm, what about yours? Your reputation today is very fragile if you're asleep. Because everybody's a publisher. Who's put something on the web? Who's published something on the web? We're all publishers. And if I come to your restaurant and you give me bad service, how are you going to stop me from going, unhappy, do not buy from restaurant ABC? You've got no control. And it goes viral. Gareth was at a place yesterday with a Spur. On the menu it said XYZ, and it included, and it said, instead of this, take this. So they said, well, where's our chips? No, it's not included in the price. That's a mistake. So they negotiated with the person, and they got it finally, but it's going to go up into Facebook. What are the values like? Because we're under more and more scrutiny. People are a bit more conscious. Yes, I want good value, but I want to know that you're not using slave labor. I want to know that the staff are being treated fairly. I want to know that some of the profit is going to change the world. I want to be a contributor in some kind of form. And so people are starting to look at these values a whole lot more. People trust advertisers 14%. They trust word of mouth from strangers and online 90%. Do your customers trust you completely? I love this advert because I think it's a profound, even in organizations I find trust is very, very low. Do you deliver what you promise? You might promise one thing, but you deliver another. This guy goes, he's a programmer, and he dies. And the angel Gabriel says, okay, we're going to take you and show you what's available. Takes him up the lift, goes to heaven, and as he gets out there, it's like etheric music, you know, all ethereal and lovely and wispy, and that's cool. Goes down to hell, and as he gets out the door, like there's the band going da-da-da-da-da-da, and the woman and the party, and it's like vibey. And he says, no, I want to come here. He says, are you sure? He says, are you very, very sure? So he goes back, he says, listen, you've got one chance, make your choice. He says, no, I want to go down there. And says, cool, done. Takes him down on the lift, and as the doors open, it's like fire and hell. He says, no, but what happened to the party? He said, that was the demo. This is the real thing. And that happens. We promise this experience. But what do we really deliver? And can you expect your staff to deliver delight if they don't feel it, if they don't have the energy? Do they wake up in the morning and say, good morning, God? Or good God, it's morning again? Do they, do they run to get to work? Or are they held there through this, financial sluts? We do stuff. If you have no control, you'll find a way to create control. Whether it's passive-aggressive, you now have a way, simple, quick and easy, with typing a few little things to make sure that you're unhappy. We're much more conscious. Ladies specifically are much more conscious. You become conscious. Who buys fur coats? Do you still buy fur coats? Why not? Because animals. Have you seen how they club the seals? Do you want to have that on your back? And so we've become a lot more conscious. Animal testing, when you see what they do with animal testing, it's like, I want organic. I don't want to know panda's eyes have been poked out because of my lipstick. And so we're going green, and we're more healthy, and we're worried about ethics. If the MD's got no ethics, we don't want to buy there. Can I just see who won't support a company for whatever the reason is? Who's made a choice? There's some companies I will not buy from. Wow. That's very interesting. And the fair trade. I love this new fair trade because for me it's about bringing a balance. If you're going to climb a mountain for yourself, cool, whoopie-doo. Yes, you got to the top of the mountain. Significance. But how many people are you helping up along the way? How many people's lives are different? How different are your staff's lives because they've been part of your circle, part of your influence? And so I love this because we put up with the Jonas Brothers. But the reality is, your consumers, they'll cut you off at the knees. They don't understand the consequence or the implication, the financial, the pressure, the stress. In a few keystrokes around the world, your brand can be smashed. Even in things like SEO, I have a competitor that doesn't like me too much. I used to be a page 1, position 1 for 220 phrases, and page 1 and 2 for 2,000 phrases. And now you can do something with negative SEO, and I got smashed. But people now, and you want them to talk about you, because most of them are positive. No one's perfect. I never went to my fiance and said, listen, I'm perfect. I rather went and said, listen, I've got some issues that I've got to work on, but I'll do the best that I can. And customers want to know, will you give me your best? Can I trust you? Will you show me? Will you care for me? Will you look after me? This whole fair trade thing is really, really good. And there's right now 378 fair trade certified producers. And it's about paying a little more to the guy at the very, very bottom. And you feel good about it because you've contributed. You're supporting a cause. And they found that people will happily pay up to 10% more to support the grower, the ladies that are working in the fields. Because normally those poor people, they get smashed on price, and then the person in the middle makes a huge profit margin. Debbie and Gareth long ago used to have a bakery. They used to make these beautiful muffins. I think they sold them to the customers for about R1 or R2. The customers sold, the guys they sold on used to sell them for 12. Now Debbie used to work from 4 in the morning till 10 at night, 7 days a week. Now fair trade would say, listen, we're making 12. We'll give you 5 or 6. We'll give you a little bit more. So whilst we have this drive for profit, think about how many slaves are working for you, the clothing that you're wearing. And this is what I love with the web is we're getting visibility about the slave trade that's been used to make clothing and stuff. In the old days we used to say price was value and quality. Nowadays everything's made in China, even the computers. Here's my challenge. Is this fair trade mark? South Africa, we are so unconscious of it. We hardly even see it. Who knew about fair trade before? Okay, a few. We've just got no idea. We're so busy juggling our stuff. We quite often don't even care about the person that made it. Trust, levels of trust in the fair trade. South Africa's a little bit further. But trust is the issue. Trust is speed. Trust is a tax with your staff, with your customers. Can I just see who hasn't lied in the last 90 days? No, we laugh uncomfortably, but that's the problem. In my old days, I'm a Boy Scout. Shake your hand, we're done. The deal's done. You can count on me. Today, where do you get that? In every situation, I've got a friend now. I've known her for 30 years. She's taken me probably for 500 grand. Friends. You know, who do you trust? But if you can't even trust yourself. So how many slaves work for you? Are you even aware of what it cost? Whose life was impacted by what you be, do, and have? Right down that scale of value added. A lot of us are just completely oblivious and blind. So people are prepared to pay an extra 5 to 10%. But they want to know that their values and their causes are being supported. People will work for a living. They'll die for a cause. What cause do you support? Who wants to just work in a place to make more money for the boss so he can have another car? I don't. I think this is the shift that is happening. There's talk, and it's going to start happening more and more and more, where business brings greater social good and social balance. I say we've borrowed this planet from our children. Well, how are we going to leave it? What are their children? What are they going to look back and say? What was in their mindset? What did they were destroying forests and water and all these things? The next world war is going to be on water. But we're doing stuff, and it's just about a number, more money. What real good does your company do beyond just another 1,000, another 100,000, another million? These are the kind of things that people want to make sure. They're most worried about the environment and sustainability. Improve education. Eradicate poverty and hunger. These are the things that are on people's minds. Reduce mortality. Improve health. Promote ethics. We all want to have some kind of impact. One of the questions we are going to ask on the profiles is we give 10% of our time to something worthwhile beyond our company. Most companies are at about a 1 or a 2. We're so inwardly focused for me, 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 me. And we'll talk about the greeders. And so now because we have so much more choice, my brother-in-law is a chief risk guy at PricewaterhouseCoopers. And he was saying last night he spends about 180,000 Rand with Southern Sun for accommodation. And as their company, they spend probably 400,000 to 500,000 Rand a month. But they have choice. They can go anywhere. Up at Rulani, the game lodge, there are 35 or 39 lodges around the same game farm. We now have so much choice, and you can get it at the tap of your pad. What makes you different? What visibility? What kind of communication do you have? And that's one of the complaints customers say. We don't know what you're doing that makes a big difference in the world. So now we get to word of mouth, because this is the most powerful, it's the cheapest, it's the most effective. Who's bought something because of a reference from a friend, partner? I've been going to buy something and I've had some referrals and I've bought what they said I should buy. And I normally do a lot of research. I like to make sure I've got all my stuff. Because there's this trust, there's this credibility connection. And so, although 2003 it was only 300 million, we're now here at 3 billion in 2013. Who recognizes the lips? Do you know what that's from? Come on, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. But the word of mouth now has legs beyond just, hi, we went and had a braai and I told them. We've now got technology that you can do analytics, and you can see one tweet, where it goes, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. It doesn't even double anymore. It can go logarithmically out. Who is that one person that made some kind of racial comment on their Twitter? Yeah. One tweet, if you're a twit, can smash your business. Because it goes to a place where you have no control. So you've got to be careful what you do put out on the web. We talk about here is the love, but I don't know if we deliver that love in the way that they want it. And so I think we have a huge misunderstanding between what we're selling, what we want to sell versus what that person really would need. Do you truly understand your buyers? Do you any kind of interaction, voice of the customer programs? I did work with Macro's call center. The problem is they try and employ the cheapest staff. They work them at 95% load factor. They control when they can go to the toilet. They have to be on the phone so many. And I said to the guy, do me a favor. Nobody else in your organization works half of this load, number one. They earn half of what anybody earns. I said, but this is the most important contact. It's your touch point. When I phone, I'm in a highly sensitized situation, and with that touch point, you either make me happy or very unhappy. Don't have monkeys there. You know, if you pay peanuts, you're going to get monkeys. Have people that are conscious, that are caring, they're empowered, they've got knowledge, skill, and ability, that they can give the love. You heard of Zappos? Everybody heard of Zappos? Little company in America. They sell ladies' shoes and a few odds and ends. It took them 10 years to go from 0 to $1 billion turnover. They do not focus on make more money. They focus on delivering happiness. They don't control how long you're on the phone for. Make sure you build a connection. Make sure you care enough. Make sure that person feels connected. I think Tony Shea is the guy who talks about, he says, culture is the #1 thing that you start from day one when you start your business. On their call center stats, one call was 7 hours and the person didn't buy. And he says, that's okay. This is because we now own that relationship. You know, this hot kitchen, push, 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 push. We don't need to do that. The world's changing completely. Do you deliver the love? Do you deliver the happiness? You know Stanley Drills, the company that makes drill bits? What is their business? They spend millions on drill bits. When a person walks into a hardware store, what do they want? What are they selling? What is Stanley Drills really selling?
Holes.
They're helping people make better holes. When you hardware store, you don't want a drill, but you want a hole. So the real business is helping people make better holes. What is your business? It's not what you think it is. What is your real business? Do you have a Twitter following? Are you out in the Twitterverse? Do you understand it? I'm still trying to get a handle on it. But if you're not there, if you don't have a line in the water, you've got no chance of catching the fish. Get some young whippersnapper millennial into your system, into your team. If you do not have a social media department segment, you're going to be dying. You're going to be losing huge. Because people that are tweeting and twitting are people that take action. They buy more. What influences your decision? Family members, friends. Word of mouth is the biggest, most impactful thing. Trusted words, 92%. Reviews. Out into the Twitter sphere. Very small percentage is by what you are saying. Very, very small percentage. People currently spend about 8.4% on their budgets. They're planning to go to 11% on their marketing budgets, and many companies are going to go up to 25% of their marketing budget out into this digital world. I know from my work and some of my friends in TV advertising, guys spend huge money. And here's what they do. This isn't about getting response. This is about brand building. Bull. In the old days, yes. Today, people will jump brand in a moment with the Zmot. But the salesman is going to sell you This is about brand building because it's not measurable. Today you can spend 100 Rand, you can say I got 5 leads, I made 2 sales, I made an ROI of 1,000.2%. It's fully trackable nowadays. Here's the thing. The top brands, a full 25% is made by users that they have no control over. What are you doing to get the involvement of the users? Bloggers post about products or services on a daily basis. Be careful. Don't be caught having what I think they call it a shill, where you pay somebody to blog about you. Because if you get found out, it'll spread. You want authentic, genuine, trusted comments from people. Everywhere, whether it's Facebook. Facebook's probably close to the second biggest. If it was a country, it'd be the second biggest on the planet. They're probably at 1.1 billion. I haven't checked the latest numbers. 1.1 billion people connected. And it's only going to get bigger. This is Instagram from December 2010 to here. 80 million. Not 8,000 or 800, 80 million. That's a big pond. Things are happening a hang of a lot faster than they used to. 1 million accounts are currently being added to Twitter. 1 million. They're going to double their advertising revenue. Are you on the back of this horse? Are you leveraging the power of that horse? Or are you sitting back confused? Because the socialnomics is a turbocharge where I might have told 4 people, I now tell 4,000 people or more. People like Lady Gaga, I think it was 20 million followers. I mean, the numbers are like hectic. How do you use it? I still don't know how to use it fully. I've got about 20 followers. But you know, 1 follower could be worth $1 million to you. When you're fishing, you never know what's going to come on the end of your hook. 54% of people on mobile Facebook. If I go to your website now on a mobile unit, what does it look like? On a pad, on an iPhone, on a Samsung? Is your website mobile friendly? Right now, 15 to 20% of all of my searches are from mobile. I have 30 websites, so some are mobile friendly, some are not. But what does it cost to do a website? 300 Rand. 1 lead for me is 20 grand. Have 10 websites. 76% of Twitter people are posting something. I'm checking in here, I've got there, did this, I bought that, I have this. We want our 5 minutes of fame, but we want 5 seconds every day. It may not go far, but it may go right around the world. You need people that understand that are interested in that can do that. But you can't come to a gunfight with a knife. The old marketing things are completely gone. Do you monitor what's being said about you? Do you check your reputation? Do you have somebody like Hello Peter? Anybody been reported on Hello Peter? He charges the earth for you to be able to fix it. Are you listening? My dad used to come home from work, from a hard day's work, used to sit down with a newspaper, and my mom used to say, hello, hon. How was your day? We're going to have dinner in 20 minutes. The house is on fire. What? Are you listening? You can't listen once a week. This is by the second. The moment it happens, you need to come back and say, we are really sorry. Mistake. What do you want me to do? How do you want me to fix this? Because once it's there, it's forever. You can't erase it. You can't change that. Have you got your own blog? You know, Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. Who's on LinkedIn? I was doing some work with a personnel agency. They're dying. We're all going direct. 80% of people found new stuff on LinkedIn. The world has changed. You can't be a dinosaur anymore. Have you put your stuff up on SlideShare? Are you using Flickr? Have you got your own TV channel? Educational. We need to be in educational marketing. This whole thing is about education. I'm selling to you, but I'm not selling to you, say, buy my stuff. I'm saying, learn about what you need. How much does the Super Bowl ad cost? It's crazy. It's millions of dollars. Millions and millions. Facebook is now outpulling the Super Bowl. Do you know how to use Facebook? Do you have a Facebook profile? Do you know that the fastest growing segment on Facebook now is the 45 and overs? There's 1.2 billion people. 1.1, 1.2 roughly. I mean, they're growing at a rate, I think right now we have close to 2 billion people with phones. And as smartphones become more and more, it's going to be even more. So the question is, are you a twit? Do you want to stay a twit? You've got to start tweeting. Think of ways that you can set up networks with your customers on specials, on news, on updates. Because they will recommend, 53% of Twitters push it out to a network that you don't get. I was talking to the lady this morning. Quite often people that get invited, they send it out to their friends, of people they've never been involved with. 48% of them bought. You know, quite often when you're doing marketing and advertising, you get a 1 to 2% return factor on your direct marketing. 48% of these guys actually bought. I think I've got it a little bit later. But what is your brand? What does it look like? When I ask you, if I go to your staff and say, well, if this company was an animal, what would it be? Once again, the 80% think they're delivering, 8% are in fact delivering. Have you got some kind of system where you listen to staff in a safe place? Most companies that I've got that we do the research, staff are too scared, to be honest. Do you get feedback and address these concerns and answer the questions? Or are you so busy juggling sales, marketing, cash flow, and all of those things that you don't have time for staff? But your staff at the coalface, Stephen Covey's research, less than 5% of strategy is understood at the coalface. Less than 3% of the problems at the coalface are understood at the executive level. There's a complete disconnect. In Tony Shea's Zappos, everybody that goes through their company goes through 2 weeks training. They're a call center. Whether you're an attorney or whatever, you spend time on the phone. You get to know exactly what happens on the phone, how to do the phone. You can help out. The days of ivory towers are gone. If you've still got an ivory tower, you have a problem. How good is your trust out in the world? We are influenced by something that can completely scupper us and you have no control. And you don't even have a chance to talk to the person and say, yeah, I did have a problem with them, but I fixed it now. They'll have a look. Tony, ooh, Let's go and have a look at Patrice's profile rather instead. So this whole reputation and credibility is very, very fragile. These millennials, I don't know how many you've got in your organization, but they're a different breed, they're a different animal, they have different values, different demands, different expectations, different wants and needs. In workplaces now, I'm finding 4 different generations, and my values are different to their values completely. They want education, they want progression, they want you to add some value to the world beyond money. They have more spending power than all the other groups. How are you addressing them? How do you understand them? How do you connect with them? Mobile is the future. Everything Google's doing now is mobile. Everything is mobile oriented. Everything I look at is Google or some kind of search mobile. Wherever I go, my pad's with me, my iPhone is with me, or the S3 or whatever it is. But m-commerce is going to explode. Once trust is there, I've probably quadrupled my spending in the last year online stuff from China. I'm buying my braid, my fishing braid. They try and charge me 800 Rand for braid here. I get it for 175 Rand there, delivered to my door. The same stuff that Solly's is trying to sell me or Mears is trying to sell me. They have no control over that. If you're going to travel, we went to Mauritius. Before we went, I got on the web. I must have spent a lot of time. But I found something that the guys that I've talked to, other people, I said, I don't know how you're getting that price. What you're trying to sell, people are giving away free somewhere else as an add-on to some other transaction. 80% are looking for better deals. 73% are deciding on price. How do you change that to a value? If you don't even have a chance to have a date, how do you show your value? And that's that ZMOT. If you don't have a chance to have a word in, I chose this because the power's shifted. Men are still the doers, but the women are the researchers, the ones that care and influence and control. Women have huge impact in where money is spent in the world. And they get bitchy quickly if they don't get what they're looking for. Facebook. More women are on Facebook than men. Ladies? Hey? Men, how many put something on Facebook today? Nothing. Ladies, how many put something on Facebook today? All of these things are invisible to you. It's happening underneath. You are blind to it. So, how are you going to engage? How are you going to create connection, visibility, trust? You can't do it on your own. You've got to have staff doing it. How are you rewarding them? Are they inspired or manipulated and motivated? Are they truly happy? Do they love coming to work? We did some training with a restaurant, and the owner was very frustrated because the staff weren't giving service like he wanted. He was telling them what he wanted. So don't tell them, sit them down, show them what it's like. Treat them like you want them to treat your customers. Even internally, the internal customers. And today, you can't have your silos anymore. You can. You're going to be too big, too slow, too misinformed. You need cross-functional teams that can work together, that can see what's happening in the market. You have to be on your toes nowadays. How do you energize your staff with really good leadership and management? I was in Nigeria for 5 days doing a leadership thing with the government, the parliament. Peter Principle Deluxe. There are people, even in our local companies, I've seen because of the pressure they have with BE stuff, you get somebody put into a management role, they don't have the knowledge, skill, or ability. They're trying to manage people that have got long experience, long wisdom, long knowledge. Huge conflict, huge separation, huge anger, huge loss. No team spirit. How do you improve? You might think you're a great manager or leader. The reality is it might be a little bit different on the ground. We're very unconscious in what we do. I was in my research, this guy phoned his different sources. He was looking for some special cat stuff. He got 2 cats and they were fighting with his existing cats. And he found some spray that you plug in to the wall, and it's $40 for the spray and $25 for the thing. And he went into a website and he found the cheapest price, and he phoned around. And they said, well, that's our policy, that's the price. And he came across a guy, and the guy said, this is what I want. He says, yes, I've got it. And he said, what's your price? And he said, what would you like to pay? And he said to him, well, I got it this price from eBay, and I got this price from here, and this price from Pets Deluxe, and this price from there. He said, so tell me the price you'd like to pay. He said, well, if I can get it at the eBay price. He says, cool. And he said, what else? He said, well, give me 4 of them. And he said, well, anything else you'd like? He said, well, I would love free delivery. He said, done. He said, I will go nowhere else again. How do you steal that kind of customer? But if you don't have a chance to get him to talk to, business is going to get harder. Competition is going to get harder. You have to find your pricing models are going to have to change. You can't be fixed. Yeah, I'd like to get certain margins, but I'd rather have half a loaf than no loaf. These millennials, I just wanted to put this because they change 27 times an hour. There's no more one channel, one space. We are multitasking, connecting, involving, interacting, infusing, sharing, spreading, reading, assimilating. We're juggling a whole lot more. Old farts like me, you can't do that. I juggle a whole lot less. But if you want a megaphone, you need somebody that talks the lingo of the gringo, of your market that you're trying to address. We can have all of these. 73,000 Twitter followers and Facebook fans and subscribers and that. But if when they come to your door and when they buy from you, the experience is no good, that can become a huge penalty because it just goes into the world. But it goes so fast that it's close to instant. Social media is important. It's not everything. But if you're going to be a high-performance organization, there's a whole lot more. But it is a part of your business that you need to look at, because if you ignore it, it will bite you. Big time. First mover advantage in this space, top of mind, visibility. You need to be in there doing something. Can I see who has social media staff in their organization? Okay. Do you find it's working? I've got some other figures that will show us. I think it's on this one. I don't know if I took it off for time. How are we doing for time? Okay. Here's my favorite one. Leaders, greeters, bleeders, and pleaders. And I try to find pictures. This, for me, epitomizes the greeter. I think some of our leaders in our country are very much like, it's like, just more. You know, the fact that your pockets are full and your mouth is full, it's like, more. The bleeders, I've seen some places where the boss doesn't even greet the staff in the morning, and he swears and he shouts and he makes them cry. I'm saying, hello. Now, slavery's gone. The problem is once people have a job, typical single moms, they hold on tight. Finding a job's not always that easy, and they take a huge amount of abuse. So, at the end of the day, although we know about things like the science of happiness is an important part of the process, it's a mindset and an attitude that your staff have to be inculcated with. People are about as happy as they make up their mind to be. The challenge is your behavior as a leader, as a manager, has huge impact on results. It is one of the most important things in a high-performance organization. Management style and quality is the biggest impactor. So if you're not getting the results that you want, it's not them, it's you. People that are engaged will stay late even though they're not required to. They'll help, they'll provide, they'll contribute, they'll connect. Who would not recommend that their friend comes to work at their company? Who would tell a friend, don't come work here? I did some research for an organization, and 35 to 40% of the staff said I wouldn't recommend my friend comes, and the boss fell off his chair. Because they smile nicely, because they're fear-based. Yeah, I'm fine, I'm here. But at home, what are they saying to their friends? On their Facebook page, what are they saying about the boss? People at low service environments where the service quality for their staff is low are looking for jobs. At least in our research, at least 1/3 of staff are looking for a new position. Imagine if they found it. If you lost 1/3 of your staff, would you be okay? Are you looking after them well enough that they'll stay? The ones that are engaged are secure, back to that fairness and certainty on the SCARF model. Healthy. Yeah, I've lost 10 kilos and I put on 8 kilos and I lost 10 kilos and I put on 4 kilos and that. Health's an important part. Mental health, emotional health, physical health are important parts. We know what to do. We don't do what we know because we don't feel like it. We're too tired. So here's greeters. There's work with David Logan on tribal leadership. There are 5 levels of tribal leadership. The lowest one is level 1 is like warfare. It's life sucks. Second level up is my life sucks. Third level is we are great. But these greeters, they don't make a nice place to be. People come there because they've got like golden handcuffs. That's where I get my money. And the fact that I'm a slave, I'm there. They don't align their values with the business. They don't espouse great things on any of their media about the business. You know, it's a short-term thing. The egos, there's no consciousness, and there's no add anything more to the world. I don't know. I've been in a space working for greeters. I've worked for some companies that are like that. I actually turned down the business because they just, there's a mindset. It's just the numbers, money, 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 money. With the fact that you're going to die, the fact that you're going to have a heart attack or have stress, I don't care. This is a graph showing a percentage of wages in America as a percentage of GDP, and you can see it's the wage ratio is just getting less and less and less and less. That's what I call riding the razor. You're getting to the point where staff as a cost to be minimized You know, you pay as little as possible and pull out as much as possible. It's maximization, like buying a new Ferrari, revving at 10,000 revs until it explodes, and then buying a new one. No sanity, no smartness in that process. The bleeders are the worst, and typically it's men on women. I have seen a few women that are like this. They're typically unconscious, and they typically are hurting themselves, and I love the line, what hurts you so badly that you think you can heal by hurting me? Because as much as we come to business with this logical mind, we bring our whole heart and our soul and our baggage and everything with us. I have seen places where the guy screams and spits in their face, and the ladies come back in a travel environment. They come back because they have no other choice. I've seen the manager of the department crying and one or two ladies in the department crying. And this guy doesn't get censured or stopped because he's the kind of the regional manager for the main manager for that department, which generates a lot of money. And so it's acceptable because he generates the value. His behavior is acceptable to the higher levels of executives. And I find that abominable. I find it absolutely unacceptable. No EQ, no consciousness, and for me it's commercial rape. And it's out there. The pleasers are the guys that are they've got no skill, no ability as leaders, they've got no confidence, they try and motivate you, and it's, please like me, but they're not effective as leaders. They don't have respect, they don't have impact. They normally live in a kind of a fear-based situation. And then normally people are put up there, they've got a good technical skill, but they don't have a people skill, they don't have that EQ. A lot of the guys in the higher levels, as like in IBM and that kind of thing, you need IQ to get on the field, to be able to do your job. But as you go up the ladder, it's more about people. And so people are hired for their IQ, they're fired for their lack of EQ. And one of the questions they ask them is, when last did you cry? Now for us men, cowboys don't cry. No, not even in front of my horse. Do you care? Do you care enough to care about your staff? Do you worry about what time they wake up in the morning to get to work? Think about it. Here's my challenge for you. Go and stay with one of your staff members, like the cleaner, for a night or 3. See how brave you are. Start to get a little bit more. You know that undercover boss? Try it. Go and see what it's like. I promise you, my life was hugely impacted. And so real leaders, they build tribes that add more meaning and value to the world. They are about getting results, about action, about achievement. But it's not at the cost of the relationship. It's not at the cost of the soul, of the being. It's beyond just how much more money can we make. They help staff build psychological capital, resilience, hope, achievement, self-esteem. They're inspiring. They get people to set themselves on fire. They're inspired to create something more with that meaning beyond make best shareholder return. And it's a win-win. And for me, life's got to be a win-win in the longer term. It can't be that I win at your expense. There is no soul in that goal at all. Sorry, I just cut and paste this from one of my previous presentations. I didn't have a chance to fix it. But your return on investment, relationships give you the best return on investment. We all do some kind of training. Less than 10% of training is applied back in the workplace. 10 to 12%. If you add coaching to that, it can go up to 70, 75%. So if you want coaching, Patrice is also a coach. He can help you. But staff happiness and morale, high quality standards, coaching, compensation, but relationships. Are you a great place to work? I see all these companies now trying to create, whether it's Total or even the government, we want to be a great place to work. Is your company a great place to work? Because talent retention has got to be one of your biggest challenges. Can I just see who's got that issue? It's like, I want to make sure I keep my talent. I think it's very hard when you get staff and they join you, you spend all your time developing it, and then they leave to go to a competitor. That's crazy because of some simple little thing that you've missed. And so we were talking earlier, I started a community radio station in 96, and I had an hour program. My program was called The Now Factor, before Eckhart Tolle was about. But already then, I was noticing that the world's changing and we are moving a hang of a lot faster. And the reality is we can't change yesterday. We can only influence tomorrow. But how are we living now? And the web is just brought now to, when I send an email, I don't want to wait 10 minutes. I want to know. Think about it. We don't want to have to wait 24 hours to get some kind of response. It's like pick up a phone or send an email or send an SMS. We want it now. So are you in a real-time business for 24 hours a day? What kind of teamwork? Because a lot of the work that we do is around team alignment, team development, using appreciative inquiry and those kind of positive processes and positive psychology to realign, re-energize, retrust, re-communicate. But it's about teams, cross-functional teams now with older people, young people, multi-skilled environments. It's not just a one-man business anymore. It's about how do we create a better place. Do you have some kind of system that you listen to staff? Do you get feedback from staff? Your customer-facing staff are the life and soul of your business. Do you reward them? Do you pay them? Do you have the best? Or are you like some of these people that got, when I phone my medical aid, I've got somebody who can hardly speak English. And I get twitchy and I get bitchy, and eventually I say, give me somebody who can understand what I'm trying to say. But I'm angry and I'm trying to fuss bait, and it's my only place. But everybody's making decisions. Are you using that knowledge, skill, and ability to build, to grow, to enhance your organization? Because at the moment, we are now at a point where one thing, like on TripAdvisor, before I go to a place, I go to TripAdvisor, I go and do a search. What do they say about that venue? What do they say about management? What do they say about that restaurant? And I will make my decision on a stranger's comment. With all of this stuff, there's huge volumes of data now that you need to be able to analyze and assess. But at the end of the day, it's not about the data. It's about how well you understand and connect and can get into the heads and the minds and the hearts of those people. But it's about meaningful lives. For me, when I die, do I want another 10 zeros on my bank account? Yeah, it would be nice, but it's not going to change my life. Not going to change the food I eat. Not going to change what I do each day. But for me, as I've got a little older and I think hopefully a little wiser, I want to know that I've impacted people's lives around me. That they sleep a little better. That they're able to add more value into their families. And before I used to try and get the cheapest. You know, right now there's a website called Fiverr, F-I-V-E-R-R. For $5, you can get work done that might cost you 1,000 Rand here. Fiverr, F-I-V-E-R-R.com. Most amazing stuff. And so the world's flattened. The world has completely changed in how we interact, how we communicate, how we're impacted, how we're influenced. The reality is there's a crisis. But that's wonderful, because there's opportunity. There's opportunity to wake up. There's an opportunity to do something different. There's an opportunity to go back to your office and say, all right, team, how do we take our knowledge, skill, and ability combined and do something more for the greater good of us? How do we become a wow place where we're working on wealth for everybody, not just a small group? How do we change from bleeder and greeder and pleader to be true leaders? How do we build more leaders in our organization? You can either see that as a threat or as a wake-up call. Because here's the challenge. When you drive, you know when you drive long distance, you drive, I used to go to Cape Town and you fall asleep at the wheel. You get hypnotized by the road. Sometimes you need a slap to wake you up. That it can just bring you back to now. You can say, well, is there a better way? How do we create a better way? How do we share the opportunity and the possibility? All I can tell you is the world's changed. If you don't wake up, you could go off the road. Maybe you survive, maybe you don't. One of my friends crashed her car, rolled it, smashed it. She survived okay. I know of 2 other people that did the same thing that didn't. You could be dead tomorrow, like 4 of my friends in my club. You could live to 100. Nothing is certain. You need to be the one that takes the action to make a better future for you your team, your country, your community. Because when you die, it's not about how much you made. I think it's, for me, it's about the impact and the value that I brought to the rest of the world. And so back to our man. Forget about your culture. Open your mind, open your heart, and begin to make a culture in your organization that is way beyond anything that you dream possible. And that's why things like appreciative inquiry, you can do the discover, the dream, and the design by getting everybody involved in the system. And you can create a place where people love to come to work, where there's positive energy, there's commitment, there's contribution. But you need to make that culture. You need to take whatever their cultures are and make something better. You need to take your culture and make a pool of, at work, this is how we are going to be. Because if you allow everybody else's culture to impact, it's going to be like herding cats, and you're going to have a rabble. Before you do anything, and Tony Shea said it, he sold his first company because he used to wake up thinking, I don't really want to go to work because there's all of this stuff. And he said culture is the very, very first thing when you wake up in the morning, you're going to start a business. It is the foundation and the platform that you work on to make. And from that, everything else goes. And so yes, there are all of these threats to business, but there are opportunities to wake up and to do something different. Thank you. I have some sheets on a high-performance organization, and at the bottom, if you'd like to give me a call, I'm happy to come do like an executive briefing on some of the things that you can start to do to become a high-performance organization, which I'll leave at the door. Gareth can hand them out for you there. If you want to chat afterwards, I'll happily stay behind.